Now, this is important to keep in mind, that when we click that behavior, we've drawn attention to that behavior. So they should remember what earned me the click. So when you click the going, they should stop. Even though, because you've said, check in with me because I'm going to give you some sort of reinforcement. So when they hear the click, I want them to go, and what is it going to be? And so I want to know that the click is that valuable, that precise. If I want to carry on, and this is more of an advanced procedure, I may say click, but support with my leg and carry on. Like if I'm building up to a chain of events,
okay.
you know, or, you know, like Judgment was a famous horse who had a big open water jump issue. So as in the beginning, it was every single thing, but pretty soon you need to be able to go into a course and go that water jump and that water jump and that water jump, but feeding them at the end. So that is an advanced moves, and what comes behind each of those steps should be a reinforcer. So if I'm going to click and I want you to canter, I want to make sure canter has been so reinforced that it is a huge reinforcer, or that jumping is so reinforcing that getting to the next jump is very reinforcing. So that is an important component, and it is more advanced for rider and horse. And what I prefer is not a lot of errant bridges that don't get reinforced. So somebody's working on canter parts. So they go, oh, okay, I'm taking it the second he commits, and that's great. Taking it, and he stops and he gets reinforced. And then we want to say, but we want more. Well, people a lot of times will click there and keep going, but I would rather see duration built on that behavior. So instead of saying, okay, I clicked here and clicked here, I'm going to save my clicks for when I'm ready to feed. So instead of just saying, okay, now you picked it up, let's do a stride or two. I didn't ask for a whole bunch, but I said a stride or two. So now we start elongating that process and how long the duration on that behavior.
So you're extending the click time, but not the train time. Like so.
Right.
Okay.
So the click doesn't come as often, but it is still followed up by food a high majority of the time until I have secondary reinforcers that are really classically conditioned behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I had it in my head the other way around. You click and then you would
keep going, and that's very common. A lot of people think that.
Okay.
And then they're like, well, how do you get anything done? And I'm like, well, you build duration on all of it. And really, and the point is, we talk about that operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is all the training that we do. Operant conditioning means they're learning to operate on their environment. So as we say, I want you to back up. And so we say, here's the cue, here's the target. And so they learn this performance gets what I want. This is how I operate on this environment, and this is how I get the lady to do it. And she gives this cue, this turns into something. So the other part is classic conditioning. So we're teaching the clicker, we're doing classical conditioning. We click, we feed, we click, we feed, we click, we feed, we click, we feed, until that click has been so paired with the food, it has become a secondary or conditioned reinforcer. So the classic conditioning never stops. We think about it when we teach the clicker. We're click, feed, click, feed, click, feed. And then we kind of forget about it. But it all keeps going. And pretty soon, the side bucket's classically conditioned, the target's classically conditioned, the behavior, cue for the behavior is classically, all the pieces become classically conditioned. So we want to get there. One of the things you'll find with me, I am probably one of the most heavy-handed feeders you'll see. Food's slopping everywhere, their mouth's full, because I want to get to the classical conditioning as fast as I can. You know, so with like somebody like Minty, who's a horse who learned all of his under saddle stuff with positive reinforcement, it was all classically conditioned after a while, because he's like, well, I love cantered part. Why wouldn't I do a canter part? I love cantering. Why wouldn't I jump? Why wouldn't I trot? Why wouldn't I bend? Why wouldn't I slow down? Because it all has been classically conditioned, so it becomes a conditioned reinforcer. So I don't necessarily need to draw attention to it, but I know that they like it for the sake of liking it. And if you ever feel like your horse is doing it only because of the food, in early stages, it is because of the food. I mean, we start off with that. But we build up as we build that duration, and when we do, pretty soon they're like, I just love this. It's endorphins and dopamines and happiness. Why wouldn't I do that? So they're not like, you owe me for that. So feel like we have a sense of entitlement with a behavior. We probably got a little stuck somewhere, and we've taken the game out of the equation, because the game is the most important part. So, are you guys familiar with that study where they gave animals free food?